Today is day 2 of recording the audiobook for Love Triangle, which is just 3 days of me in a tiny room reading my own words to myself. And you can probably hear from my voice, I've already done 1 full day. But when I mention that I'm doing an audiobook, a lot of people, they have questions. They want to know what it's like. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to document day 2. And my experience may not be typical. If you're a professional audiobook reader, you might have your own studio at home. You might head in and use like a professional third-party studio. But because I'm published by Penguin Random House, they have their own in-house audiobook department. And so I'm here at the Penguin Studio in their building in the Vauxhall area of London. And here's our little room. This is Rich, who has produced Humble Pie audiobook. Yes. Yeah. And is now working on Love Triangle. And this, Rich gets the big room.
Of course.
You wouldn't believe that. And then this is my home for 3 days. They give me other books, you know, better books to inspire me. And then, yeah, this is my little cheeky setup. Before we get cracking on the very first bit of recording, I thought I'd just talk you through the room I'm in. And I have this set up a little bit differently to what other people will do when they're recording an audiobook. So there's the classic, there's a microphone with a shield on it. That's so if I say the letter P with too much enthusiasm, it doesn't pop on the mic. And then you got a little stand, and it's all done using an iPad. So the book will be there. It is. It's all loaded up on there, and it means I can silently slide up my own book and read it out as we go. So there's no noise of turning pages, and it can be a nice continuous read. Where I differ is normally you'd be sat down. So the reason why this room comes with a nice comfortable chair in the corner over here is you're meant to have this standing desk at a nice typical low level, and then you sit down and you read your book. Whereas I like to stand up, which is a little inconvenient for the studio staff. So actually you can see Rich is still in the room over there. But Rich, you can talk to me through the intercom.
Hello, I can.
Look at that.
There's me.
Now, Rich did my book 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Have you had anyone else stand while recording an audiobook since?
I believe it's happened at the studio in the, whatever that is, 8 years or 6 years
Wow.
since then. It has happened, but I have never had to do it. The difference between now and last time, of course, is the first time we had to build, Matt,
So true.
a desk out of other things because we didn't have
Like
any
a music
raisable
stand and all this stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was definitely gaffer tape involved. It was, it was a construction.
The first time I asked very nicely if I could stand, and it was
Took us by
unheard of.
surprise.
Yeah, but you made it work. They're
it
very
work.
flexible people here at Penguin Studios. Now they got a standing desk, so people can be at whatever height they want, which is quite nice. It's because I'm not a professional audiobook reading person, so instead of learning a whole new skill, I'm just kind of hacking. I mean, I've already got the skill of standing at a microphone and saying words, so I do that. I stand here and I kind of pretend I'm speaking. I don't want to project because it's an audiobook, but I pretend I'm talking to someone in front of me as if I was on stage, and that seems to work quite nicely. Okay, so we have got a schedule to stick to, and I think we're already a bit behind for today because I've been messing around with this. So we can't let me filming disrupt what we're trying to do here. So you know what? Let's get a chapter in the bag.
Sounds good.
And then we'll come back to you. I've just stepped outside for a quick break. We were recording for just under 2 hours, and we got all of chapter 5 done, which I think is like 50 pages or so, which is pretty good. I try and take breaks in between chapters though. I think it's a false economy to just keep slogging away at it. I think the getting outside, get some fresh air, get some brain space makes a huge difference. So I'm not going to answer the most common question I ever get about audiobooks, and that is, do I have to do it? Am I obliged to read my own book? Quite the opposite. They, more often than not, prefer it if authors don't voice their own book. A friend of mine, who's an author, had to audition to be themselves, which I think is very funny. So If it's a fiction book, that's a bit different because doing all the different characters and acting, that's a whole separate skill to writing a book. So fiction tends to not be the author. Non-fiction's a bit different. If it's like a real, more factual, not a textbook, but if it's that end of the non-fiction spectrum, then could go either way. Something like what I'm doing, where the book is very much in my voice, and I talk about me and things I'm doing, then I think it would be a bit odd if it wasn't me doing it. But reading an audiobook is a skill. Well, it's difficult. I'm not saying I've got the skill, but I'm saying I'm sufficiently competent, which is why they do get some authors to do a test read to make sure that they can do it in a timely fashion. Because if you got to stop, I stop and start a lot. You know what? When I go back up, I will film some of the next chapter. I will leave this camera running in the corner and you will get to see it in real time. So you'll see how often I have to stop and start, and we have to occasionally discuss, because you've got to change the text, because I've got like diagrams and things that you can't see if you're hearing the audiobook. So there's a lot of stop, start, fixing things, altering things, correcting mistakes, all that jazz. So I'll film a bit, you can see me do it. I'm sufficiently good enough that I'm allowed to do my own audiobook, and to be honest, I do, when we're negotiating the original publication of my books, say I want to voice it myself. I'm pretty adamant about that, and thankfully I am able to do it. So I guess the answer is, authors, no, you don't have to voice your own book. In fact, it's discouraged, but if you're adequate at doing it and you ask very nicely, they will let you. All right, I'm gonna go back in again, and you'll get to watch the audio sausage get made.
Okay, there are 3 things I couldn't find pronunciation-wise.
Right.
Shall I run them now, or do you want to do them just to see if you know them?
Okay, what are they?
Wackagon, I've never heard of. Is that like whack-a-mole?
I made that up.
You made it
up.
Wackagon.
So I can decide the
say how you want to
pronunciation of
say it.
wackagon, yes.
Right. Okay, the difficult ones are that teenager who discovered the new shape in 2015.
Oh, the drum.
Where's he even from? I can find his name. He's co-authored a couple of papers, but it's in English it'd be Julian Ziegler Hunts. Is he American? Do we think?
Right. What page is that?
Oh
on?
God, I can find. It's towards the end of this chapter.
It is the drum, isn't it?
It's about the drum shape. Yeah.
Yeah. He is American. Well,
American.
It was in America.
Yeah. I could find a reference to him being in America as well. I think we just say Julian. Ziegler Hunts, yeah.
Because
they're all German names, all 3 of them as well. That's the problem. So it could be Julian Ziegler Hunts, but
I can almost guarantee it's going to be an anglicized.
Yeah, an American.
Americanized version of that, yeah.
In which case, Ziegler and Hunts.
Ziegler
I think that's
Hunts,
fine. That's the easiest way.
But
then on the same page, this is on page 176. Tympanum is how you say is Latin for drum. Tympanum.
Oh, yeah.
What about the shape? Tympanahedron? Do you want to say it? That I couldn't find it anywhere.
Oh, it's made up as well.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the Latin pronunciation?
So tympanum.
Tympanum.
So I guess it would be tympanahedron, but that sounds a little bit tympanahedron, but that wouldn't really make sense. I think we say tympanahedron.
Tympanahedron. But that's why I changed it to the dodecahedron. I thought it was a ridiculous...
Yeah.
I was like, what a pretentious name.
Exactly.
Okay, fine. Okay,
dodecahedron is brilliant. Yeah.
Then they probably look at dodecahedron, they're like, what a stupid name. So
we're going to have to make sure we really stress the drum, because otherwise it'll sound the same. That's the problem.
Fine. Okay, let's deal with those when we get to them.
Great, that's it. But everything else I've got, I think. So
okay, cool.
Should be all good. There are quite a few things in this chapter. A lot of fun, long shape names. But maybe you know those anyway. You might.
Most of the shapes I think will be okay.
Okay, nice. All right, let me get back. Sorry, chapter 6. Awesome. Okay, so do you want to do an intro?
Yeah, I'll do a quick intro. I'm about to read chapter 6 now. I think we're all set to go. You notice I'm not wearing headphones. That's because if Rich wants to interrupt, we've got a speaker underneath me.
And I speak like this?
Exactly. Comes through nicely. And Rich will only interrupt if I've got to redo a take. Sometimes the mic will pop, or my stomach will gurgle audibly, and there'll be a reason to do it again, or I've made a mistake. So it doesn't matter.
Or we've got to look up an interesting and strange pronunciation.
Or we have to look up an interesting and strange pronunciation. So Rich only speaks if the take is ruined anyway. So we don't worry about headphones. And Rich is scrolling through. So I'm scrolling through my copy of the book. Rich has got a marked up copy indicating where things might go wrong in the future. So Rich will go along with me, and then occasionally we'll stop for a group chat to work out how to audiobook something. But anyway, okay, here we go. Let's see. Let's see how we go.
All right, we are almost ready, and we're now rolling. Thank you.
Chapter 6. Where do shapes come from? The Rising Star Cave System in South Africa contains some tight squeezes to each... Great start. The Rising Star Cave System in South Africa contains some tight squeezes. To reach one particular collection of chambers, 120 metres from the nearest cave entrance, visitors need to pass through gaps less than 20 centimetres across. Oh, paleontologist.
Paleoanthropologist.
Paleoanthropologist. The lead paleoanthropologist. So what counts as a shape? You could grab a piece of paper right now, scribble some semi-arbitrary lines and curves, and declare your result a new shape. It is undoubtedly true that no one else has drawn the same set of Franken lines as you. But I'm going to upgrade the universe's storeroom to be a discerning collection of proper shapes. A proper shape is a shape which has at least one of these qualities of distinctiveness. It is somehow unique.
Distinctness.
Distinctness, sorry. A proper shape is a shape which has at least one of these qualities of distinctness. It is somehow unique, conforms to some interesting constraints, solves a practical problem, or is a mascot for a whole family of shapes. And I couldn't get my head around it until Laura demonstrated it with models. Now, the models are on the next page.
Yeah.
So how about I talk through the models?
Describe them.
Yep, and then we come back in. Is it a very pleasing and potentially unnecessary bit of geometry? Yeah.
Okay, sure. I wondered whether it would work without, but we can try.
Let me stumble through it and let me know how it feels.
See what it sounds.
She had printed a squat version of the One World Trade Center anti-frustum such that it was in 4 pieces that could be pulled apart, rotated and put back together to form a cuboid with a bit missing in the middle. She had also printed the pyramid which would perfectly fit in that gap, proving that's how we could calculate the area. Is it a very pleasing and potentially unnecessary bit of geometry? Yes. Did it indicate that the world is run by a shadowy group of geometers? No comment. I think that kind of works.
That did work really well.
Okay,
That was great. I don't need it. I think it helped. You just said geometras. Does that matter? Is that sort of invented word anyway? Geometers.
Geometers? Do you want to get with geometers?
Yeah, let's go
Sure.
geometers, yeah.
Does it indicate the world is run by a shadowy group of geometers? No comment. In the search for the shape of epithelial. I have a half-life on how long I can remember a pronunciation. We finished up the rest of that recording session. I've been out for a walk, I got some lunch, we're about to head back in again, and I will say we found another mistake. So it's incredible that, like, the number of mistakes that surface during the reading, because I guess technically I've read my own book a couple of times, but it's always during the writing and post-production, let's say, process. So I'll be looking for, like, checking the typesetting or looking for mistakes or doing whatever. It's not until I record the audiobook that I actually, like, read it cover to cover, also out loud, like a normal book. And that's when you spot, a few things, like there'd be like an extra word in a sentence. Like I think we deleted an in that was in a sentence that shouldn't be there. And some stuff I just never picked up on before, but by saying it out loud, because I'm kind of reading while looking ahead at what's coming up, and I'm making sure the way I'm saying it makes sense and it's going to flow logically, it makes me think about the content in a way I haven't done when I've been reading it previously, like when I'm just scanning, like I was saying, for like typesetting things. And so at one point we describe a regular equilateral dodecahedron. Well, that's what it says in the text, and it should be not a regular equilateral dodecahedron. It should be an equilateral pentagon dodecahedron. And I just hadn't spotted it until then. So we fixed it. My previous, for Humble Pie, I did the audiobook earlier and we had time to fix the print files before they went to print, but the first edition is already printed of Love Triangle. So I apologize, everyone who's ordered the first edition. You get now the limited regular equilateral dodecahedron edition, not the equilateral pentagon dodecahedron edition. So there you are. We're making notes of all these. They'll be fixed in future versions. So yeah, there you go. One of the benefits of reading your own book. But time is wasting. I'm going to get back in there. This is where two different flat polygons are positioned parallel to each other and then connected up using all manner of rectangles. Oh, what did you call it?
Trapezoids.
Trapezoids.
Do you think you might know better than me? I just thought.
Well, I would say trapezoid, but
let me
trapezium. Do you want to look it up?
Trapezoid. No, you are completely. It is trapezium, but it is also
trapezoid.
You're completely right. Trapezoid.
Do you want another run through trapezoid?
Yeah, let's go for trapezoid.
This is where two different flat polygons are positioned parallel to each other and then connected up using all manner of rectangles, trapezoids, and triangles. A vertex that spent eons in the middle of layers,
epithelial.
A vertex that spent eons in the middle of layers of epithelial cells out of sight of trying?
Yeah, of trying biologists.
Prying?
Oh, maybe not actually. Hang on. Shouldn't it be prying?
I think I should be prying.
Yeah, with a P.
Ooh.
Found another.
Found a mistake.
Okay.
That's the third mistake we've found doing the audiobook.
Gonna make a
epithelial cells out of the sight of prying, but I think it's definitely prying.
It should be
I'm
prying,
implying that they're like, ooh, what's in there?
Exactly, that they're trying to see. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So Rich will make a note of that.
Great, yeah. I'll email it over to you later.
So if you get a first edition of the book, you'll have trying biologist eyes because they've already printed the first edition. Second edition onwards, we'll have prying biologist eyes. Okay, let's land this thing.
All right.
What is a scutoid? It is a new shape, maybe all over you. Nobody used my suggestion. A new scutoid shape will grow on you.
Which is a shame.
I know.
Should we say the? You said maybe is fine.
The? Oh, okay, let's try it again, yeah. Nobody used my suggestion. The new scutoid shape will grow on you.
Yeah,
that's a funnier joke with the too. That's yeah. So we're about to go into the next section, which is called Do Me a Solid, but we will leave the recording there. When I make a mistake, are you marking that up for the editor when they come back?
That is right, I am. So all these lines and marks, every line is a retake, highlights, pronunciations, crossing through things we're not going to do. I'm marking which day we're on, what chapter we're on, all stuff for the editor to use as they're editing through. Time stamps of where this is in the session so they can guide.
Oh, perfect.
There we go.
There you are. Being nice to the editor.
Yeah, that's it. That's
okay, I'm going to turn the camera off and we're going to keep reading. And that is it. That is the end of day 2. We spent a few more hours in there getting as much more done as we could. It never hurts to be a little bit ahead. And I just repeat, I come back in, stand in the room, read more of my own words out. It's really a case of endurance more than anything else. I mean, in one sense, I see why we stack the days one after the other, because then you get, I guess, a more consistent read. But on the flip side, it is absolutely exhausting. I have no idea how voice actors or people who do this professionally maintain it. It's a huge amount of work. So anyway, that's the process from my end. Then obviously it gets edited and mastered and everything else. And I don't know, it's probably available to pre-order now. That I'll link. If you listen to audiobooks, I'll link to it below. You can also check out Humble Pie. My previous book has an audiobook. And Make and Do in 4D, not yet. I've actually, it's been recorded, I just haven't released it. So anyway, link to those below. And if you do want to get the first edition with all the mistakes I'm finding now. We found another one just then. We found five significant mistakes which will be corrected in later editions found during the audiobook recording process. I will link to how you can pre-order a signed first edition if you want to get the maximum number of mistakes in a physical copy. Although, if you want to, you know what you could do? I think some people do this. If you want to spot all the differences between the recorded audiobook version and the as written. Oh, in the audiobook version, everything you've heard in this video is just my lapel mic, so the actual one will be produced through the real mic and done properly. You can always listen to that while you read the book, and you can see all the sneaky little changes I made as we went along. But that's it. I'm gonna go home, gonna collapse. I'll be back tomorrow to get this finished.